Greetings, YouTube. I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anyone that the state of education in America isn't in really great shape. I mean, we have across-the-board education for people, and that's good. The idea being that everyone should be literate, have a base knowledge of history, physics, math, English, things like that. But its execution isn't all that great. I mean, it's been a while since I graduated school, but my memories of it are clear. It was very uneven. It often failed miserably. And since then, I don't believe it's gotten much better. In fact, if anything reports, it's gotten steadily worse. And it isn't helping that our Congress critters keep trying to throw up the voucher flag whenever they want to get elected. I've never really understood vouchers. The concept being that you could take a child who wants to leave public school and you give them the portion of money that would have been spent on them so they can then take it and go to a private school. If public schools are having budget problems, I can't see how taking money away from them is going to help, because the amount of money that child is going to get isn't going to be enough to cover a membership in a private school. So in my mind, it's a lose-lose. The student isn't going to get the education he wants, parents are going to be disappointed about that, and the public school loses funding, which it desperately needs. And in response to this, some people have chosen to do homeschooling. And I'm of two minds about homeschooling. There are parents who want their child at home where they can teach them, because the quality of the education in public schools is often questionable, and it's, in theory at least, a lot less expensive than a private school, particularly if you have the luxury of having a stay-at-home parent. I realize a lot of American families don't have that luxury. They're either single-parent families or they're both parents are working because the economy is in such crappy shape. But for those lucky enough to have a stay-at-home parent, homeschooling becomes an option. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, because you want to make sure your child gets the education they deserve, that will really push them emotionally and intellectually, and really let them see the horizons of education for what they are, I fully endorse it. My only concern about this is socialization. You're really going to have to make sure your child gets the exposure to the social groups that are outside the family unit, because at school you get exposed to all kinds of different social groups, and I think that's important to see and speak to people on a regular basis that you wouldn't see and speak to if you weren't in that school. And that leads me to the second group of people who do homeschooling, the one I'm a lot more questionable about. And that is the families that want to bring their children home and teach them at home for a religious education. Now, I oppose this. I believe that schools should be completely and utterly secular, should be free from any religious content unless it's in reference to history. I'm not anti-religious. I'm a devout theist. I am not all that hot on the concept of organized religion, I freely admit that, and I'm completely opposed to the concept of dogma, with a capital D. I realize that if you're going to have a religious faith, there's always going to be some dogma involved. But some families bring their children home to teach them a strict religious education, without any exposure to social groups outside the family or viewpoints outside that of the religious belief system. And to my mind, that's dangerous. It's very insular. You're creating an almost inbred intellectual environment, one that's not healthy for the child or the adult they will eventually become. I don't know how to reconcile this problem, because if you're going to allow some people to homeschool their children, you're going to have to allow them all to homeschool their children, so long as they meet whatever the criteria for your particular state is. But when it's being done for a religious purpose, it really makes me nervous. Why does a family think that they have to bring their child home and teach them in a very insular view of the world? Why can't they teach their child about their religious beliefs and show them that they can live with these beliefs in the real world, where they're going to encounter people every day who aren't going to believe the same thing they do? And that's okay. You don't have to live in a world where everyone is exactly like you. You need to be exposed to different people, different ideas, different worldviews. It's healthy. Think of it as bringing in good genes for crossbreeding. Have you ever heard of the concept of a mongrel hybrid vigor? The concept is when you breed two unrelated but genetically compatible groups together, the offspring are very vigorous because it's a new shuffling of the genetic mix, and you get some interesting ideas and interesting results from this kind of breeding. I believe it was used. That was the use that we came up with some really cool canary breeds. Obscure, I realize, but it worked. In the same way, exposing people to new ideas, new peoples, new social connections, you have that same hybrid vigor. You get new ideas and inspiration in a way that you would never have gotten if you'd been at home alone with your family. So I'm not against homeschooling. I'm just for homeschooling for the right reason.